What's up, guys? Today we're doing a weapons tier list for arc raiders. Talking all about the weapons, where they should be placed at in terms of how effective they are, how useful they are, and how difficult they are to obtain. We're gonna take that all into account when we do this list. So let's get to it. We have the Stitcher. Uh, Pretty decent SMG. Really bad against arc, but is really just for running people down and fighting them close range. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. It's gonna be like one of those like B or C tier guns. I'm gonna be pretty, I'm really going off of my own judgment on this, so I'm gonna go Stitcher at B tier. It's good for what it's good for. You can kill one guy with a mag, and then but like against arc, it's gonna be mediocre. So even a Stitcher at B seems a little bit generous. So I'm gonna go C. Hairpin. This gun is really bad. It shoots slow. You have to pull for every shot. It's just extremely slow. I don't recommend using the hairpin in really any situation, so I wouldn't even bother. The kettle is more of the cheap go-to for fighting against people, as well as it's really just for fighting people. So kettle is a decent gun. I'd say it is slightly better than the Stitcher in terms of its overall effectiveness, but it is still a really weak gun. And honestly, when I use anything else, if they have a kettle, I'm probably winning the fight. So I struggle putting that at B tier when leaving Stitcher at C. To move them both up, or do I move the kettle down? I'm gonna go with what my gut feels like from playing like 20-30 hours of arc raiders. I'm gonna go kettle, C tier. The Rattler, first realistic option for me. The Rattler at level 1 is a pretty mid gun because it only has 10 bullets, but if you upgrade it a couple times, you really increase the mag size and how the gun overall feels, especially with attachments, making it a really good option against arc as well as people. So it's definitely a gun that like I personally enjoy for like how cheap it is. All right, and then we get the Ferro rifle. So I'm placing the Ferro rifle at A tier. I'm going to explain why, because you shoot one bullet, then you have to reload it. Against arc, it is extremely good, extremely useful. It is very cheap for literally anyone to make and own. Like the Ferro rifle is just like a go-to. Everyone uses it. It is a good solid gun against just like running around the map. Like if you play in squads, if everyone has a Ferro rifle, arc's never really an issue. And against people, like the Ferro rifle definitely struggles a little bit more, but like it's definitely not inadequate. If everyone's shooting with Ferro rifles, I mean, you can still kill an entire squad. I think the Ferro rifle, when paired with other guns, is a really good option to have, especially for how cheap it is. So like one of my go-to loadouts is the Ferro rifle and the Beretta for like the close range raider engagements. So Beretta, I'm placing at B tier. I think it is a solid gun, extremely capable of just taking people down. Close range is pretty useless against arc, but against people, you can take somebody down with the full mag. So like I like to pair the Ferro with the Beretta. I think that's a really good combo. I have seen better combos, which we'll get to. The Anvil, S tier. The Anvil is basically the Ferro rifle, but souped up with steroids. It does just as much damage, punches just as hard. The handling is a little bit more wacky with the Anvil. Like the Ferro is extremely accurate. The Anvil isn't extremely accurate, but it's pretty accurate, and you shoot way faster. So against people, this actually shines pretty well as well. And against arc, I mean, it just puts arc down. So like the Anvil is like one of my go-to things to use. So like when I'm just like, if I only want to run one gun, I'll run an Anvil. If I want to run like Beretta Ferro, so I have like more close range options, then that's probably what I run. Sometimes I'll run a Beretta and an Anvil. Running two guns, kind of weird. Two pistols, kind of weird, but it is what it is. Little Toro, one of the first shotguns you get, and it's not extremely difficult to obtain, and it's pretty cheap. And honestly, I'm gonna rate it at S tier because it is a good shotgun for every close range engagement that I've seen. It's moderate against arc, but against people, like this is like when you run all these other guns, especially for low level, the shotgun inside of a building, you can literally put down an entire squad. Like, it is extremely annoying to deal with. It is very strong. So I think that shotgun sits there pretty easily. The Arpeggio, let's just say that. So assault rifle option, it's definitely better than the Rattler, but I don't think I'd place it all the way at S tier. It is a solid burst fire assault rifle. Definitely a good gun, but it is a little bit more tricky to get, but it's not super difficult. You get it like closer to the middle game, and you can craft them pretty easily. Not super difficult, but it's a solid gun. Nothing really else to say. Good against people, good against Arc. The Venator is a pistol that shoots 2 shots for every shot, which is a little weird, but I'm gonna place this because it's just like a souped up Beretta, so I can't place it on the same tier as the Beretta. The Venator is a little bit more difficult to obtain than the Beretta and make, but once you get to a certain point in the game, it's not overly absurd to run that with literally any other option of a gun. Like, this is just like a really good I'm fighting a raider up close option, and it's cheap. The Renegade. So the Renegade, if I have the fair rifle at A, I have to put the Renegade at S, because long range option, it's going to be the most realistic long range option on this list. For ARC fights and PvP fights, you can usually just run a Renegade the entire time and probably be okay. It does decent damage. It does shoot medium ammo, so it's not super effective against ARC, but it hits like a truck, so it'll do just fine. And I gotta put that at S tier because I like that gun. The Osprey. So the first actual sniper, it's a good sniper, and it is really the only true blue sniper in the game. So I will put it at S tier just because it is really the only actual sniper in the game. It does use medium ammo, so against ARC, it's not extremely effective, but against people, I mean, everything else doesn't really have a scope, really. So, I mean, if you're using Osprey against a squad, you can literally pin them down, and they can't really do much. Especially if you're a good shot, I mean, you can kill a squad by yourself. A Torrente, I'm placing it at C tier. Anytime I've gotten a hold of this, I've never really thoroughly enjoyed it. It's all over the place in terms of aim. If you're close range, it does work, but like, I would say close range it does work, but like, I'd rather just use a shotgun if I'm going to use it close range like that. I'm not sure what else to say about it. I don't really enjoy that gun. The Volcano, it is a very good shotgun. I'm not trying to rank shotguns just higher than everything else, but shotgun's close range, and a lot of times the fights are pretty close range. It's going to be very difficult to beat that shotgun. It is better than Toro, has a lower spread, and is just crazy. Bobcat is like the Stitcher, just stronger. So in that retrospect of me just saying that, I am going to place the Stitcher up a tier over the Kettle. I think the Kettle is just a really easy, simple, good to go gun, but the Stitcher is like one primary purpose, and that's to kill people. Bobcat, same situation, but just does the job better. A little bit harder to get a hold of. I will place the Bobcat at A tier because this thing shreds people, but placing it at S, I mean, there's a lot of close range options, and would I rather have a Bobcat or a shotgun? Honestly, I'll place the Bobcat at S because it really does like just melt people. All right, we got the Tempest. Placing that at A tier. It's a decent gun, but like, it's nothing that I'm like a massive fan over, or like, especially how hard it is to get. Batina, kind of just as hard, but I do think the Batina does shine a little bit brighter. So the Batina will go at S tier. It is the gun that, if you want to run assault rifles in any capacity, long range, etc., as well as short range, it does extremely well. Hole Cracker. This is just for fighting against ARC. So with that in mind, you have to, you have to keep that in mind. So, Pole Cracker. I'm gonna place this at A tier because it is what it is used for. It is for Arc. I don't think I can place this at S realistically, so I will place it there. So these, the Juniper and the Equalizer, are a little bit more difficult to get your hands on, and I'm going to take that into account of how good they are against people, Arc, and how difficult it is to actually obtain these. The Equalizer, it doesn't really melt people. It does do well with Arc, but like, it's a minigun. I think between the two, because I think they use basically the same resources to craft. I just wouldn't rely on that. I've done a lot of research on this, and the Equalizer doesn't really look like it really shines. The Juniper, to me, is the gun that I would rely on more than the Equalizer. And I do think the Juniper is an S tier gun. In terms of being able to craft it, it's definitely a little bit more tricky, so I will drop it down a tier. It is a sniper without a scope, and it kind of it like has to charge up, so it's a little bit harder to hit things. But against Arc, it does really well. Against people, you can still use it. I feel like it shoots 4 shots at a time in like a little like beam, so it does about, it does okay damage against raiders, but against Arc, it does really well. So this is the weapon tier list. So my background, I do play Arc. I'm level like 20. I haven't used every gun, but I have done research on every single gun here and looking at how well they perform and everything. But I have used the vast majority of these guns, or have seen them in action. So this is my tier list. Arc Raiders is a lot of fun. Make sure to subscribe, drop a comment, leave a like down below for more, and hype up the video if you guys want more videos from me about Arc. Peace out. Until next time.